Hi, preschool parents. Here are our lesson plans for the week of April 20th through April 23rd. Just a couple announcements before we get into the lessons. Just remember to comment on the Sunday post here. You guys have been doing a really good job at that, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And then just a couple of dates I wanted to remind you guys of. If you read the letter that Mr. Dollinghouse sent out this last week, Wednesday, May 13th will be our last day of online learning. So that means that we only have 2.5 weeks left of lessons after this week. So keep up the hard work. You guys are doing great. And then Thursday, May 21st will be supply pickup day at school. So I will have all your student stuff ready to go on that day. So let's get into the lessons for this week. Our activities for Monday, our letter this week is letter C, so they can watch the letter C song, watch the little lesson on how to form capital C, and then work on writing capital C on the line. The next activity is a missing number game. So you can use your number cards for this game, and you'll pick a few cards to lay out. So for example, on the floor, you might lay out 6, leave a space, and then lay out 8 and 9. And you could easily just go hide the number that's missing somewhere in the house. Your child can come back and look at the number line that you created, and they can decide which number is missing out of the line. So this one would be number 7. And then they can go hunt for it in the house and return it back to the line. And then you can just create another one. Just to make this more of a challenge, you could use bigger numbers. You could work up into the teens or the 20s. And also you could take more than one number away just to make it more of a challenge. And then the last activity for Monday is retelling of the Paper Bag Princess. So being able to retell a story is a skill that we work on quite a bit in preschool. So if you follow this link, it'll take you to the story of the Paper Bag Princess. And what I want you to do is you're going to pause and start quite a bit for this activity. So when they show a page, before they start reading, hit pause and have your child tell what's happening on that page. If they're just saying, there's a dragon, prompt them. Well, what's it doing? Why is it doing that? Things like that. And then you can hit play and let them read that, read the page. And then you can compare like, oh, great. You did tell me everything that was going to happen on that page. I didn't add this in here, but to make it more of a challenge, you can then pause it again before they turn the page and ask your child, hey, do you remember what's going to happen on the next page, even before they actually see what's happening? So that would be just an added challenge. Okay, on to Tuesday. The first activity for Tuesday is letter C and other letters on the floor. So at our house, this is a super favorite activity. So find a spot in your house that doesn't have carpet. So we have some laminate floor. Just clean it up really quick. So there's no, sometimes in our house there's some dirt on the floor. So just clean in a little area, and using the dry erase marker, your child can write on the floor. It's just kind of, a different medium for them, and they like it. I would focus on capital and lowercase c first. And then after they got the hang of that, you can say another letter for them to write on the floor. And just a reminder, I usually in the classroom spend about 10 to 15 minutes on an activity, 20 if they're really into it, but I usually don't go past that. So you can just keep that in mind when you're doing your activities with your child. This link right here is just the document with the correct letter formation in case you're worried about that, because like I've said before, forming the letter the correct way is also an important part of learning the letters. All right, the next activity is an activity that we've done in preschool before, but we haven't done it very often. But when we did, they liked it. It's brushing sprinkles into numbers. So not only is this going to be working on writing numbers, but it's also going to work those fine motor muscles in their hands, which are also will improve like your handwriting and things like that once those muscles are super strong. So what I would do first is have your child write a number on a paper. And, really you can focus 0 through 9, just because once they're able to form those numbers, they'll be able to form the higher numbers as well. And maybe write 3 to 4 numbers on a page. So here on my example, I have 3 numbers that I wrote there. And after your child has wrote the number, then parent, you can draw a bubble around the number. So you can see my step 1, Kinsley wrote those numbers. And then step 2, I drew the bubble around the numbers to make it a bubble number. And then using some like decorating sprinkles for food or salt and sugar, just sprinkle it out on the paper. And then you can get your paintbrush from your watercolor set, and your child can brush the sprinkles into that bubble number. So then you're left with like a decorated number. So there's the example, just in case you're not following what I am describing there. And then right here is just the link to the document with the correct number formation. All right, the next activity for Tuesday, we are going to learn about wasting. So you can follow this link to watch a little cartoon about what wasting is. And then these next 4 bullet points are just some questions to ask your child. What does wasting mean? And if they need a little reminder, just let them know it's using more than what we actually need. And be honest with them. Say, you know what, there's times where we've all wasted. Everybody has done it before, and ask them if they can think of a time that they might have been wasteful, and ask them what they could have maybe done better. I guess that kind of goes along with this. What are some things that you can do to make sure that you're not being wasteful? And then lastly, what could you say to somebody that is being wasteful? And you can just remind them, remember, we want to use nice words. We want to help them make a better choice, but we want to use nice words. Okay, on to Wednesday. First activity is lowercase c. So you can watch the little song for that. Watch my lesson on lowercase. Oops, I left lowercase q in there. That should be a c for lowercase c. And then you'll trace a line of lowercase c's and they can write their own. And then Wednesday is also Earth Day, which goes along great with our unit. So there's another My Big World. I know we just did one last week, but we're going to do one again this week. So if you just follow this link, and you can sign in as a student using the password Caspers. And the reader that you're going to want to do is called Save the Critters from Litter. So just read through that with your child, and then on the back you can do the little letter hunt. There's also games and other resources that goes along with that if you want to use that as well. And then I just added a little fun Earth Day song. We like these songs in our classroom. They'll be very familiar with it. And then the last activity for Wednesday is creating 10 frames. So you can use your dry erase marker and a window. So if you're not for sure what a 10 frame is, if you go back to like a daily video from a Wednesday when I do a number, I always make a 10 frame. It's just the box with the 10 squares in it. And then, for number 5, it would obviously have 5 dots in the 10 frame. So say a number for your child to write. And then parents, you might need to draw the 10 frame or help your child draw the 10 frame. But then your child should be able to draw the dots in there for the 10 frame for that number. All right, on to Thursday. Your first activity is called I'm Thinking of a Letter. So you can use markers and crayons and paper for this activity. Let your child know that you're going to be thinking of a letter, but the only clue that they get will be the sound that that letter makes. So what you'll do is you'll make a letter sound. For example, you might say t, 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 and your child will then write down capital T and lowercase t because that's the letter that makes that sound. If they need some help, you can go ahead and give them a clue of how it looks like when you form it, and that might give them a hint. But yeah, that's that activity. The next one is wash away numbers. So it looks like it's going to be pretty nice on Thursday. So let's go outside for this activity. Any of these activities could honestly be done outside as well. So what you'll need for this activity is chalk and then either a spray bottle with water in it, or for some reason, all of our spray bottles were broken the last time we did activity. We just used a cup of water. And so just write multiple numbers on the sidewalk or have your child do it. And like the last time me and Kinsley did this, we focused on the numbers that she was having trouble with. Like she, for some reason, was having a hard time with 7, 8, and 9. So I did those 3 numbers, and then I think I also threw in 5 and 10, and I just wrote those 5 numbers multiple times on the sidewalk. And then what you can just do is say a number. They can go find it and spray some water on it, pour some water on it, scrub it with their feet a little bit, and wash it away. Also, another thing I did with Kinsley on this is I just had her walk in a circle, and then when I said stop, she had to find a number. or she could also just find a number on her own and tell me what number it was. So there's lots of different ways where you can have your child wash away the numbers. And then the last activity is called shopping list. So you can talk with your child about a shopping list and let them know that adults create shopping lists as a way to help them get what they need at the store, but also as a way to help them not buy too much. We don't want to waste. So your child is going to work on creating a list, and it's pretty awesome. Kids can, obviously tell what an item is by looking at the picture, but also they recognize, labels and things like that, trademarks. For example, whenever Kinsley sees the word Subway, she knows it's Subway just from the way it's wrote. So look through a newspaper or a magazine, and if your child finds something that they can identify, they can cut it out and glue it on their shopping list. Now, if you don't have magazines or newspapers or things, you can always do it a little bit different. You could look at items on a phone or a tablet or computer. I know a lot of the times you can pull up, like, for example, I get emails from Target. They give me their shopping ad for the week. You could go through the ad, and if your child sees something, maybe they can write it down. If they see milk, maybe they can write down the MILK and create their shopping list that way. Just some other ideas for the week. Start a rock collection, but don't just gather the rocks. Have your child organize it, help them write about it, or even create with it, make pictures with it. So not just a normal rock pile, do a little, or a rock collection, I should say, do a little extra with it. I know Kinsley loves collecting rocks. You could paint with different objects like cars, brushes, or sponges. I've never actually done it, but I've seen where you take like a little Hot Wheels car and drive it through paint, and then the wheels leave the paint behind. It looks really cool. We have painted with brushes in our classroom. We've also used marbles, your fingers, things like that. It's always fun to just do something a little different. And then the last activity is visit a town's recycling centers or recycling bins. And you don't even have to get out of your car for this activity. You could just drive up to it and look. But if you would feel comfortable getting out, you could always bring something along to recycle, like a pop can or a box or anything like that. And then here for our letters, letter of the week is C. Here's all the letters we learned, and our last upcoming letter will be letter I.